let's go, let's go.
Pretty recently, it's been a wild time at Six Flags over Texas, and if you've been keeping up with the news lately, you might know what I'm talking about. About a week ago, a video went viral showcasing the Roaring Rapids water attraction at over Texas, and the riders caught in the water. This is a situation that no one wants to be caught in, and many are wondering what exactly happened to be in that situation. But that's not all. Would you believe me if a similar incident happened? Just yesterday from making this video, footage caught a rider on Superman's Tower of Power who's seen to slip out of their seat and is now caught in a very dangerous situation. Typically, these kind of incidents, especially in a big theme park like over Texas, is very rare, but for two of them to happen in 1 week is definitely concerning, and is leaving many with lots of questions and sparking fear across the web of worst case scenarios happening on amusement rides. So in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive on these two instances and explain what exactly is going on and why you shouldn't be afraid. Before we get started, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JV Thrills, make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides, no matter where they're located. And if you're a Texas enthusiast specifically, this is your #1 source of news for all Texas theme parks. So if you're interested, be sure to like button and subscribe and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel, which can also help me on my road to 10,000 subscribers. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So like I was saying before, it's been a very interesting week here at Over Texas. Incidents like this are pretty rare to begin with, and to have two back-to-back, it's something else. But to make it easy, we'll explain what happened one at a time, starting with the Roaring Rapids incident. For those who don't know, Roaring Rapids is a water attraction at Over Texas that's pretty common in a lot of the Six Flags parks or theme parks in general. It's a river rapids experience where you and your friends can board a circle-shaped raft and brave lots of waves, hoping not to get soaked, but more than likely you will. And by the end of the attraction, if you're lucky, maybe only a bit of you are wet, but some get super unfortunate and leave the attraction extremely soaked with nothing left dry. Usually, when the hot Texas sun starts to make an appearance over the season, this ride becomes extremely popular to cool off guests, and it's a staple in the summer attractions for Over Texas. But recently, a video surfaced the web of people on a raft falling into the water and swimming to the loading platform. And it really left lots of people worried on what's going on and why did a kid almost drown. Well, first off, I gotta break the misconception, which is that these riders fell into the water. Lots of news outlets and lots of people assume that the attraction caused these people to fall into the water and put them in a dangerous situation. But actually, that was not what happened at all. What instead happened was that the raft was trying to load into the load station. At the very end of the ride, there's 2 lanes that the raft can go into. It really doesn't matter what lane it goes on, as it's meant to help with capacity and load lots more guests. Sometimes if only one lane is open, there's a big high-pressured water hose that pushes the raft into the other lane to make sure it boards there, while also getting some riders soaked, like me in this video. But sometimes if they don't calculate it right, the raft can end up going in the wrong lane, and they'll have to fix it. Not to mention there's always an employee that's monitoring the lift hill just in case anything goes wrong, or if they need to alert the other employees that the raft is on the wrong lane. As you can see in the video, the raft actually gets stuck in the middle, not able to choose a lane, so it just floats there, leaving the raft stranded in the middle, while other rafts coming back from their journey started to collide and become a huge traffic jam in the middle of the water, with no boats going into any of the lanes. Now here's where it all went wrong. In a typical situation, the employees will just tell you to remain on the boat and everything else will be solved. There's lots of ways out, and the park is trained to know what to do if one of the rafts just stall in the middle of the water instead of going to any of the lift hills. And the misconception that the guests fell into the water, but instead, they chose to fall into the water by jumping. The guests on board appeared to be freaked out, and when the raft got close to the loading dock, one of the guests were able to get on. Now this caused everyone else to panic and want to get on as well, but due to the momentum, the raft started going backwards again into the water, leaving a giant gap. And instead of using common sense and remaining on the boat, like the other guests around them, the fear got to them, and they ended up jumping, leaving lots of them into the water, putting them in a far worse dangerous situation, due to the fact that 1, you have to be a strong swimmer in this current, as the ride was operational, and all the raging waves and everything could pull you further into the ride, possibly drowning you, or 2, one of the rafts could move around and hit you, and they're very heavy, and again could drown you. This little kid that fell into the water got extremely lucky, because if it weren't for the man reaching out for him, he probably would have been pulled by the current. And as you can see, he was really struggling, because you need to imagine it kind of like a lazy river times 10, as the current's constantly pulling backwards, and if the kid didn't get rescued, it would have been really bad for him. The whole incident ended with no injuries, and all the guests were able to be rescued and ended up okay. So luckily it was nothing too serious, but as you can see it could have been less serious, and a way more calming rescue. So what is all this to say? Well, first, breaking the misconception that it was an accident will hopefully clear the air a little bit and tame some fears, as Roaring Rapids is actually a pretty safe attraction. The only reason the incident got so bad was at the fault of the riders jumping into the water when they probably shouldn't have. If they waited like the rest of the rafts, the rescue would have been a lot easier, they wouldn't have got soaked, and the kid wouldn't have been put into harm's way. Plus, if you're caught in a situation like this while riding Roaring Rapids, the best course of action is stick to the boat. The only exception will be if the boat's actually sinking, which in itself is rare. The boat is the safest place to be, especially over waters that have a really tough current. With that said, hopefully this incident doesn't deter you from riding Roaring Rapids, because it's actually a really fun attraction. Now moving on, we need to talk about the most recent incident, the Superman Tower Power incident. This one happened one day from making this video right now, and essentially, Superman Tower of Power was caught doing its emergency programming, slowing down to a complete stop and going down the hill slowly, which can be seen in this video, to be a rider who slipped out of its restraints, and is barely holding on. This is an actual serious situation unlike Roaring Rapids. And Roaring Rapids, it could have been prevented, but this situation is the worst kind. But here's the problem no one was expecting. What if I told you this video was fake? Yes, I mean false and not real, made by AI. It seems crazy, but it's possible, and here's why. First of all, this news video dropped on TikTok and went to no other platform. Second of all, you would think the news would cover it right away, but unlike the Roaring Rapids incident, this is only found on TikTok and was later reposted by everybody else, but it's only this video. Now of course, in the Roaring Rapids incident, it was also only one video, but I find it really weird for how such a serious accident didn't get covered immediately. And not to mention, Six Flags didn't say anything about it. Fast forward yesterday for making this video right now, the news interviewed Six Flags and they said, and I quote, "There was no incident at the park. The video appears to be a hoax. I can confirm there was no incident of this kind." So it's really interesting. If this is real, then hopefully Overtext isn't lying, because it's an easy lawsuit. But to be honest, it's leaning more towards being fake, as again, there was no further news about this, and why would Overtext lie about this? Not to mention, when putting this video into my video, I was zooming in a lot, and noticed the video flickers a bunch, not acting like a normal video. I've zoomed in really far before on my phone too, and I would assume this was made on Snapchat, but even then it doesn't appear like this. Plus the riders in the video seem motionless. They don't swing their legs once or move anything. And sure, one could say maybe they're just scared and staying still, but at the same time even the guy that's dangling still isn't moving anything. So I find it really suspicious and could believe it to be AI, as AI has gotten really realistic lately, and maybe this person made this video just to become popular, when in reality it's all fake. I think the worst part about all of this is it's really difficult to see if it's real or not. Hopefully it's not, but if it is fake, it's crazy someone will post this and possibly hurt the reputation of Overtext and Superman the Ride. Because again, Superman Tower of Power is a really fun attraction, and it's really safe. In fact, these past years they've added even more safety measures to the attraction. Like even though we already have a chest restraint, they added a seatbelt across your waist in case the chest restraint was to come off, which in typical drop towers is just a chest restraint, not a seatbelt. And for someone to slip out like this, it's not impossible, but it's also very difficult, as one would assume the seatbelt will keep you in, and while sure maybe the video got the emergency protocol right, I don't think someone would just be dangling off the edge of the ride. But anyways, whether it's real or fake, the problem is we could see this happen. Not this exact same accident, but almost like it's not surprising, as the two videos bring up a glaring concern that Overtext has, and that's quality control. My home park has severely dropped from its theme park roots, and it's now essentially a glorified carnival. I hate to say it, but it's true, and this is why Overtext has more and more issues compared to other parks like Fiesta Texas. If the theme park is high-end and actually has good care into it, it'll lower the chances of more problems. Take Fiesta Texas for example. We never really hear any big things like this, as the park is always full of staff, everything's done at 100%, and nothing is lacking. But here at Overtext it's not like that. Lots of attractions are closed without any explanation as to why. There's time when the park clearly suffers from staffing issues, and there's lots of parts of the park that look really underkept. Meaning to me it looks like less of a theme park and more of a fair, and at this point Overtext essentially is one, with the prices being so high and the attractions being basic with nothing new. There's no shows, there's nothing that makes it stand out from a normal carnival fair, and it leaves guest satisfaction low. And if guests are angry at prices, or bored without anything to do, it leads to more conflicts, and it's why Overtext keeps having fights outside the parking lot, and increases the chances of more risky situations. Of course, the Superman video was possibly fake, and the Roaring Rapids video came by the fault of the people, but judging on how the Superman Tower of Power incident wouldn't have surprised me, it goes to show that Overtext need to get it together, as there has been lots of ride breakdowns, and getting stuck on attractions. Or you have rides that only one train works, and they leave it like that for months, like Aquaman Power Wave. When they need more than one train, and is the whole reason they invested in a turntable for the summer. Essentially, Over Texas is becoming more ghetto for a different term, as it's been on the news a bunch lately, and not for good reasons. In this year alone, they were on the news to advertise a new attraction that never happened and got cancelled, and they publicized it to everyone only for the attraction to get scrapped. Then they're on it again from Mr. Freeze alone, as it consistently breaks down, valleys, or gets caught on fire, which again is a negative issue. Then there was the fights around Fright Fest and Holiday in the Park, and now this. What it goes to show is that Over Texas needs to increase their quality. The park is heading in a downward spiral, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Most people will be negative on the internet and say it's over for Over Texas, but I'd say it's not. They just need new leadership that actually cares and will put their time, effort, and money into the park to restore it to its former glory. The park has lots of potential, but the higher-ups are choosing not to see it, and it's seriously hurting the park and the guests who have been visiting Over Texas for the longest time, including me. I will make a future video on how they can fix Over Texas, but just to summarize, quality needs to get better, and it can be done. Regardless, it is unfortunate that the Roaring Rapids incident did happen, and let's hope the Superman accident was actually a fake and not a real, because then it would actually be bad. Anyways, what do you think? Is the Superman accident a real thing or a fake? And how could Over Texas increase the quality in their park to prevent more stuff like this? Comment down below. And to see more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe, which can also help me to my road to 10,000 subscribers. Anyways, thank you for watching, and this is JB Thrills signing out.